All right, everyone. I'm coming to you briefly today to discuss this South African business, right? And I'm coming to you to tell you, to advise you not to be distracted by the enemy's work right now, right? Not to be distracted by the trials that are happening, right? But understand the tribulations that are being forced upon you, right? To have discernment, okay? Because we are being distracted by now by P. Diddy. That's none of our business. That doesn't affect our lives. What affects our lives is what's going on here in this country today. Today, well, yesterday, Monday, the 12th? Your president has allowed immigrants to be transported into your country while deporting melanated immigrants to countries that they don't belong to. See, that's what we need to be focused on here today. But you know, I like to open you up with something from the scripture, from my religious beings, from my chosen beings, from the Most High. Isaiah 14:20. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because them has destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. And with that said, we open. Like I said in the last episode about the garden of knowledge, not the tree of knowledge, the tree of good and evil. It was not a tree, but instead a people. Do we understand that? I hope we understand that. Now, we have to discuss our enemy at hand. And some of you guys are acting as our enemy at hand. Agents, like in the Matrix. Right? I see you guys. I see the way that you speak. I see the way that you guys support your enemy. You Stockholm syndromed. No child left behind ass. Negro peons. And Latinos for Trump. I'm talking to you today. Let me let this plane go by. Yeah, I'm talking to you today. Because I seen, what was it, Kaylani? She's the only one that's really speaking on anything right now. Alright? Say, I've been traveling the world. I've been outside of my country. There's a lot going on in my country. But what I can say is, and I don't know because I'm not there, is what it seems like is nobody's giving a shit. Nobody's caring what's going on in this country. Either y'all not caring or y'all sitting back. And what I see is, y'all not caring. It's one thing to sit back and strategize. That's what I do. I sit back, strategize, I see what's going on, and I come up with solutions. Right? I don't vocalize my solutions because you shouldn't vocalize your solutions. Everything you do is being monitored. Your digital footprint. So I want you to be aware of your digital footprint. Everything that you like, everything that you share, everything that you comment on is leaving a digital footprint. And that's all going into a profile, your profile. And not only is it going into your profile, it's going into a profile of demographics. Right? The universal subconscious mind is being placed, not just your subconscious mind, right? Your conscious mind being placed, what you disclose, what you share, is being monitored and placed into these categories so that the CIA and these intelligence agencies could monitor exactly who you are. They can put you into a profile and understand exactly who you are. So, like me, I have to be intentional. You have to be intentional on what you share and what you disclose and what you like. Everything that you do is being monitored. So, I understand. Maybe you have outrage, emotional outrage, internal outrage. Maybe you finding ways, solutions, and you're not disclosing that, which would be the smart thing, right? But be preparing. That's all I gotta say, is be preparing. You don't gotta disclose what you're preparing. Be preparing for whatever. Be prepared for whatever. So the South Africans, right, what we're saying right now, we're seeing South African immigrants being transported to America while brown and black immigrants are being deported. While immigrants from Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Mexicans, when this land was once Mexico, being deported. And then some of you Latinos for Trump will come and tell me, well, that was the past. That's what I had somebody tell me, that was the past. See, that's the thing. That's the divide that we have between blacks and browns. See, we understand our history. And y'all want to be the victims. Y'all want to be the victims. It ain't about being the victims. And technically, yes, you're the victims too. But it's about understanding your history in order to move forward, and in order to know where you're coming from, in order to know what your attacker is capable, how your attacker attacks you. You have to know how your attacker has attacked you. If you don't know your history, you'll never know. You'll never see it coming. So it upsets me when you talk about that was the history, that was the past. You got to let that go. Do you think that the military forgets how they were attacked once by their enemy? Do you think that Japan says, yo, America attacked us once before, and this is how they attacked us? And they said they left that in the history? Come on. Do you think any country around the world, any military around the world, when they see how one's military operates, they say, that was the past, they'll never do it to us? You'd be a fool. An incompetent fool to not understand what your enemy is capable of. Some of y'all religious people. So if you're saying that's history, well then don't be religious. The Bible ain't nothing but history. The Quran, history and revelation. Same thing with the Quran. Etc., etc. So if you're saying that's history, why are you a religious person? That's a contradiction. But the thing is, y'all so damn incompetent. No child left behind. Y'all so damn incompetent, don't have a lick of common sense, don't have a lick of intuition. And I'm supposed to let a man lead me? Please. What you need to do is let me lead and you be the muscle. That's how I think, because you don't think. I'm sorry. Your cognitive abilities have betrayed you. And that's not all of you. But I'm just saying, that's what I'm seeing. Your ego you're led by your egos. So, why are we allowing South Africans into this country? Asylum.
We're having a G20 meeting. I don't know how we can go unless that situation's taken care of. But it's a genocide that's taking place that you people don't want to write about. But it's a terrible thing that's taking place. And farmers are being killed. They happen to be white. But whether they're white or black makes no difference to me. But white farmers are being...
It's people all across the world. Then your president says it's not a white thing. It's an everybody thing. If it was black people, well, I see some issues going on over there in Sudan. But we're not letting Sudanese immigrants come over here. It's some issues going over there in Congo. But we're not letting no asylums for no Congolese. And so on and so forth. Talking about it's a genocide. There ain't no damn genocide going on over there in South Africa. And if it is, everybody, if you're talking about the MS, the gang situation, right? The military, the rebels, and all that going on in Africa in general. Those are what you're talking about. Everybody is affected by that in that country, in those countries.
But the idea that there will be refugees is completely false. And of course, the theory that there's a white genocide is absolutely absurd. There's no such thing happening in this country. Yes, there's a very high murder rate, but it affects black people as much as white people. It affects everybody. So it has really nothing to do with race. But obviously, it's interesting that the Trump administration gives a special treatment to some fringe white people.
So where's the asylum for everybody else? And you said to the brown immigrants, I don't give a damn what you put them on a plane and ship them out. We'll even give you $1,000 to get your ass out of here. But yet you're letting in white South African colonizing immigrants. Let's go back to the history of how the white people even got in South Africa, because there ain't no such thing as an aboriginal white person in Africa. Scientifically, biologically, genetically. Right? And we all know black people can birth everything. We not talking about the ones that the black folks can birth. We talking about, you know what we talking about. The ones that came over there from the Caucasus of the Asians to the mountains in Europe. The ones that amalgamated with Neanderthals. The ones that came out of Europe to Africa to colonize Africa and ended up in South Africa. Yeah, the apartheid South Africans. Oh yeah, the Elon Musks, the Musks of the world, the South Africa.
Color than among white people. The Afrikaner people specifically are among the most successful people in the country. There are Afrikaner billionaires, there's Afrikaner CEOs of very large companies. They still own most of the land. So they're actually doing quite well. And this is a story that we don't really hear.
And we know Elon got his name all written all over this. As soon as we seen South African immigrants asylums, we knew it was something that Elon had something to do with. Apartheid, medical apartheid, right? We'll get into a little bit of apartheid that's going to be happening as well. Or that is happening, right? That has been happening in the medical industry when it comes to our people. So, I'm just here, like I said, briefly to discuss the hypocrisy, the contradictory, the blatant racism that y'all will ignore because you guys are so egotistical. Y'all can't even sit up here and say, I fucked up. I made a bad decision. But the thing is, alright, I got that type of memory that each and every one of y'all that I seen post that, man, I remember when the votes was tallied and y'all was number 47, 48, whatever number he is. Excited for another 4 years of this asshole. Even after he said, I'm trying to be a dictator. Even after all the racism. Even after the Kamala's not black, Obama's not black. Y'all was buying into that. You fucking Negro people. But I want to tell you what's really going on. What the agenda really is. There's an agenda to not only repopulate, but to accelerate the white race in America. And that's the reality that you guys have to come to. That's what's happening. Right? But there's two realities. There's two sides of this coin. The reality for whites is, I know you guys have your block the sun agenda, but God has something bigger for you planned. Just like I said in the last episode, Trinidad was not made for Caucasian people. And they were dying in that country. Just like in America, you guys are dying of melanoma. Because you guys lack what? Melanin. And that's the reality that you guys have to accept, is that places in the earth were not made for you.
Jane Elliott said,
the hole in the ozone layer gets larger and larger. More and more sunlight is allowed to enter our environment, and more people who have pale faces are going to die of melanoma, which is a skin cancer that you get if you don't have enough melanin in your skin. Let me tell you, people of color are going to be very much in demand for reproduction in the future. Mark my words, you're laughing now, but you wait 20 years. You won't even have to wait 20 years, because they're going to see that if they want their children, their grandchildren, and their great-grandchildren to survive, they're going to have some melanin in their skin. That's the way it's going to be. This is going to take care of itself.
Because this is the earth of the sun. And maybe if you go to Mars or wherever you're planning on going, maybe that's the earth for you. But it's clear who the chosen people are, genetically, biologically, of this planet. And everybody can say what they want to say, but the truth is, the world did not see the destruction that it sees today before the emergence of a certain people.
This is one of the darkest things I've ever read in history, and it's about Columbus meeting the natives. In his letters, he writes, "They are very simple and honest and exceedingly liberal with all they have, none of them refusing anything he may possess when he is asked for it. They exhibit great love towards all others in preference to themselves." He says, "They are the best people in the world and above all the gentlest, without knowledge of what is evil, nor do they murder or steal. They love their neighbors as themselves, and they have the sweetest talk in the world, always laughing." After saying all that, he then writes, "They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them all and make them do whatever we want." Is that not the most brutal thing you've ever heard?
And that is historically, biologically correct, accurate. And that's just what it is of this time, right? Because we could say that there was catastrophic events that happened and there was a rebirth and all of that, right? If you want to talk biblically. But now I want to just break down the things that you can connect to the agendas. One, your biggest one, your most recent one, like I just said, is the South African asylum. All right? Then you have your IVF. Can everybody benefit? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't looked into all of that. But that's because the birth rate of the Caucasian race in America, the white race in America, is disappearing. All right? Look at the birth rate. I'll put the birth rate here. It is decreasing. White people die at a leading cause of melanoma in America. But they're not going to tell you to stay out the sun. Because who doesn't like to be in the sun? So you got the IVF, right? To repopulate. The agenda is to repopulate and to accelerate. We have the education system now. Let's dismantle the education system. Because in a corporation, the people that know how to make the money are accelerated. Even though I'm outside of the corporation, right? I'm buying outside of the corporation. Acceleration is self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency doesn't mean I have the money, but I have the means to be able to make my own food. Be able to get my energy from somewhere. Right? Just like the people who live off of the grid. That's freedom. In America, freedom is corporate greed. Financial literacy. Financial freedom is to be free of money, but be free and not wanting. And that doesn't mean that you don't have money. That means that the money that you have, you're able to do whatever you want to do with it. The illusion that made in America, do I agree? Absolutely. I'm tired of seeing made here, made there, made in China. Because the one thing that I've said in one of my first episodes was that Americans are dependent. They're not self-sufficient. We would not know what to do if the world cut us off, or if our world, inside of our world, country, was cut off. How many of y'all know how to make clothes? How many of y'all know how to plant your own foods? How many of y'all know how to get a source of energy from somewhere else? Some of y'all don't even know how to do your own hair. All right? How do you get your car started? How do you do maintenance on your own car? In America, you always go to somewhere, some for convenience. You always go somewhere else to be convenienced. Because you don't know how to do it. Men, like my dad, know how to get behind the car. Get under the car, get under the hood, do this, do that. Know how to build. How many of you know how to build a house? And you're not a construction worker. Right? I bet you, most of you guys that watch this are going to say, I don't know how to do none of that. Which means that we are depending on somebody else to provide for us. So what happens when we don't have that? We're not allotted that for whatever reason. Because we are at war within our own country. Not to mention the outside countries. The tariffs and all of that. All right? So dismantle the education system. History. We don't need you to know where you came from. It literally says on the White House website, we do not want people to think that they're victims, and we don't want children growing up believing that they are oppressors. Meaning that I can now teach you a new truth, which is a new lie. So that you cannot pull yourself up from your bootstraps, as they say.
So first it was saying that everything that's wrong in this country is the result of DEI. Then it was removing black historical figures from the DoD website and history books. Then it was passing regulations in the military that specifically target black men in order to remove them from the military. And now they've just rolled back the federal ban on segregation, making it to where segregation is no longer banned on a federal level. Don't get me wrong, it's still banned on a state level. But how long do you think it's going to take Republicans to change that? Oh, but Trump's not ready.
Because you'll never know when your enemy, like I said earlier, is going to attack you because you think that your enemy is your friend. Like Muhammad Ali once said, I'm not going to be put in a pit of snakes and trying to figure out which ones are the good ones.
There are many white people who mean right and in heart want to do right, but there are so few. If 10,000 rattlesnakes was coming down that aisle now, and I had a door here I could shut, and in that 10,000, 1,000 meant right. 1,000 rattlesnakes didn't want to bite me. I knew they were good. Should I let all these rattlesnakes come down, hoping that 1,000 get together and form a shield? Or should I just close the door and stay safe?
I think that...
You understand? The Viet Cong are not all bad, but America's still dropping bombs. In Hiroshima, the Japan wasn't bad, but she still dropped the bomb. In Korea, they weren't bad, but they still dropped the bomb. So now I'm going to forget the 400 years of lynching and killing and raping and depriving my people of freedom, justice, and equality, first fired, last hired, the lowest of low, last respected, and I'm going to look at 2 or 3 white people who are trying to do right and don't see the other million trying to kill me? I'm not that big of a fool, and I'm not going to deny it.
But if you don't teach that your enemy has attacked you medically, through your foods, through your clothes, forever chemicals, you are through the air, through the technology, through the 5G, then you say all people can be bad people. Tell me what melanated being, country, entity has colonized other people and due to their race. Tell me. You can't name one. So even you black people that like to come on here, your aboriginals like to come on here and talk about all people are bad. Tell me which black people colonized the nations around the world. Tell me. You can't, because that's historically inaccurate. Tell me what black people have destroyed the ecosystem. Tell me. You can't, because that's historically inaccurate. And if you see that the education system has failed a lot of people already, a lot of people cannot think for themselves. A lot of people don't even wish to think for themselves. We are trapped in the matrix. And you guys don't even have the cognizance to even understand that you're being attacked. You don't care. You're laying yourself out to slaughter. Like my cousin said, no child left behind. And that's what's happening. We have to rise up above the enemy, but above the attacks of the enemy. You guys are being attacked eternally. And then you think that the country is for you, when historically that is inaccurate. My people, you gotta rise up. You have no other choice. God is coming to you, the Most High, the Creator. If you don't think that you were created, there's too many instances, too many facts, too much evidence, even scientifically. Scientists will tell you that God exists. 20 years ago, they might not have. 40 years ago, they might not have. But today, they are telling you, this is evidence of God.
But in one of the equations, the solution come out to be a negative sign. Not only that, there's a square root involved, so there's strange behavior. There's a negative sign in law, but it has the exact property, like an electron and all that stuff. How come? Everybody say you're crazy, you're stupid, this and that, right? He's not even he didn't, no sweat, buddy. He just say, I am right. Many years later, few years later, it is shown in Caltech by Carl Anderson to show there's actually such a thing called positron. You know, the opposite, the brothers of electron. There's such a thing. And then if you ask yourself, how is it possible? Right? There's something, this is just out of nowhere. Where does this thing come from? And then in mathematical sciences, there's a lot of things like this, like geometry. There's an even more famous thing about in geometry is called Calabi-Yau manifold that related to string theory. This thing was basically a revisit of Einstein's general relativity equation, asking itself whether is it possible to have closed curvature in
So you got to rise up, my people. It's our time. We cannot let the enemy lead us any longer. Now, may peace be upon those who deserve peace. Blessings.